What's up everyone, MK Tom Brady here. In this video, I want to talk about the message that NRS could be sending us in the next 2 days to the next few months. But as early as this Friday, April 23rd, when the Mortal Kombat movie gets released. And as you all well know, this is also the 2-year anniversary of Mortal Kombat 11. Now, there are a lot of people who are in the camp of, I'm hoping for some news on this date. I'm not holding my breath. I'll believe it when I see it. And there are other people who are in the camp of, absolutely, this is the day. I'm going to watch the movie. We're going to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of MK11. And I'm just going to sit back and wait for NRS to give us what we know they're going to do. Give us an update. Mortal Kombat 11, Edward John Boone edition, boys. And NRS says, hey, this is the content that we have been wanting to give you. We couldn't get in the studio for almost a year. Now we're working on this, and it'll be released on this date. And of course, there'll be trailers and combat casts and all the stuff that go along with that. And we'll all be really happy. Or we may not get anything on April 23rd, but that doesn't mean that all hope is lost. E3 didn't take place last year because the pandemic pretty much shut everything down. But it was announced in early April this year that it is confirmed it will be this year. Usually E3 is somewhere in the spring, early summer, late spring. They're going to hold it online. Now, let's say NRS is at E3 or does a presentation at E3. They have something to show, and it's a new game. And NRS loves their April and May release dates. Pretty much all the NRS titles have come out in April or May. So let's say new game, they announce it comes out April or May of 2022, next year. And they say, but that's not all. Because we got Mortal Kombat 11, Edward John Boone edition coming to you. Stay tuned, it's coming out, whatever the date is, next month, whenever. So then either way, we got a new game announcement, the patch that they probably would have given us had we not had been locked down in COVID, and they give it to us better late than never, and everyone is happy and everyone wins. And this really sends a message that, look, sure, their next title was delayed, but they are still going to take resources and have them also work on content for MK11 to kind of finish what they wanted to give us to start, instead of just kind of abandoning us. And it really shows, or it will show, just how much NRS really does care about the community. All those people who say they don't listen, they don't care, including myself in some videos, will all kind of be on blast. And I think it's a win-win. We'll understand the delay, and everybody will be happy. And long live MK11 until we get the next title. However, let's now take a look at the other side. So I'm hoping for that scenario. That's what I'm hoping for. That's where I want us to go, and I'm hopeful for it. And I'm going to hold on to that until it's clear that scenario is not going to happen. However, let's take a look at the other scenario and what message that shows. So first scenario shows how much they care, how much they listen. And now let's take a look at this one. Friday, April 23rd happens. Bam, movie release, 2-year anniversary. Nothing. Silence. Okay. E3 happens. New title gets announced. But nothing for Mortal Kombat 11. And then it becomes clear and obvious that they're done. And this new content that we've been hoping for, that other content creators have been making videos. Be patient, guys. It's only been a couple of months. Yep, those guys. Nothing. Patience, but no content. No patch that we all wanted. The patch we all wanted, we all thought we were going to get, nothing. What message does that send? Now, I want to take you back to Street Fighter V earlier this year. Got a massive overhaul of 57 pages. That's right, a 57-page patch notes, 57 pages worth of an overhaul. Massive. If you combined every update in the history of MK11, you wouldn't get a 57-page document. That's how massive this was. Now, of course, the NRS community responded. Street Fighter 5 is out 5 years, Tom. True. Mortal Kombat 11's only been out for 2. It's not fair. And you would be right. If NRS comes out and says, give us time, we've got this on the way, we've got Edward John Boone edition of MK11 on the way, they would be right. Give them time. Street Fighter 5's been out for 5 years, MK11's only been out for 2. If that's the message they send us, you're right. Give them time. But we're talking about the message of they announce a new game and there's nothing coming to MK11. Then they're not saying give us any time. They're saying it doesn't matter if you give us 100 years, there's no update coming to MK11, and that's that. So that argument of give it time, that no longer holds any water. However, there's always the argument of, well, look, and this is true, USA was locked down probably longer than most areas, if not everyone. And while everything was delayed, other places of the world could begin to open up sooner than USA. There are some places that I think were a little later. But either way, USA had it really bad, and there are some studios in other countries who were able to open up a little sooner. There are some that are going to say Capcom is one of those studios. I don't know for a fact, so I can't comment on that. But I know somewhere out there that's what someone's going to say. But when you were able to open up and begin to go back work really isn't the issue here. It's what you did when you were able to go back to work. See, Capcom, they went back to work, and like everything, Street Fighter 6 was delayed. Everything was delayed because of the pandemic. No matter what you are, games, movies, etc., things got delayed. But the difference is one company says, you know what? They could always go the route. They could have gone the route of, hey, we're the developer. We don't owe you anything. We have had planned to do this for Street Fighter 5, but now we're so far behind in Street Fighter 6, we're not going to have any resources designated to Street Fighter 5, really. We may give you 1 or 2 characters here or there, but things have changed. We're not really going that route anymore. No overhaul comes, and they focus all their resources on Street Fighter 6, and they keep Street Fighter 5 as it was until Street Fighter 6 comes out. They could have done that. 100% they could have done that and put all resources on that because of how far behind that pandemic has set everybody back. However, that's not what they did. They said, you know, hey, we're going to continue with this roadmap and we're going to delegate resources still to working on this, even though we're behind in Street Fighter 6 and you guys haven't overhauled Street Fighter 5. And enjoy that until Street Fighter 6 gets released. And I know someone's going to say, but Tom, they had to. They gave us a roadmap. I'll get to that in a second. So NRS, if they go the route of nothing for MK11 and here's our new game coming out next year, instead of doing what their competitor did and say, you know, we couldn't work, and now that we're back in the studio, we're really far behind on our next title. But you know what? We're still going to take resources and designate them to finish what we wanted to do with MK11 while we work on the next title. Instead of doing that, they'll be saying to us, the message is, as the developer, we don't owe you anything. And they'll say, they won't be saying that directly, but indirectly the message will be, enjoy what's left of MK11 and stay tuned for the next title, but nothing else is coming, right? We don't care. Like, they'll be saying, we don't care. We don't owe you nothing. And sure, we plan to do this, whatever, we're not going to do it. That would mean that MK11's last patch came out in November of 2020. And we'll have to wait until spring of 2022, a year and a half. MK11 will stay in its stale state for a year and a half, or will have stayed that way before we get anything. That is inexcusable. And nobody who sat there and say, well, Capcom had more time, yada, yada, yada. There's no excuse for that. One developer could have gone the same route and they chose not to. And if this is the route NRS goes, I'm not saying they will go that route, but if they do, both routes are a possibility, right? The positive route where they show how much they care, and this route here. So I'm entertaining both options here. But that's the message they'll be sending. We don't care. We don't owe you nothing. You know, we're going to get you to play MK11 for the next year and a half anyway. And the next title is going to come out, and our sales are going to go up regardless. So we don't owe you nothing. Our bottom line is not going to be effective. Enjoy MK11 in its state for the last year and a half, and here's our next game. That, to me, is just something that I never thought I would see from NRS, but, I mean, they could go that route. And for those, again, going back to, well, Capcom gave us a roadmap, and NRS never did that, so Capcom would look worse, so that's why they did it. Maybe that's why NRS doesn't communicate. They don't communicate so that they can at any time say, we're not going to do it. Where other companies kind of hold their own feet to the fire, NRS says, if we don't tell them nothing, plausible deniability. They can always claim nothing was in the works. They can always claim, nothing was ever being worked on, nothing was being planned. See, Capcom can't do that. They have a roadmap. They can't go back on it. And they would have to go back and say, we were unable to do it because of XYZ. But everyone would probably get on them about that. Even though COVID, and we understand, no one could plan for COVID. Still in all, I feel like this is why NRS doesn't do that type of communication. Had they said, we're planning to do XYZ in a future patch, we're planning to reslot moves, change the properties on some moves, look at the current meta, switch it around by looking at this and that and that and this, I feel like it would be a bigger deal, and they might actually be bound to do it now. By not ever communicating, they never actually have to promise the community anything. They can always sort of dance around changes that they want to do and never actually do them, and always claim, well, we never really planned on it anyway. So I think that's probably a reason why they don't communicate, or at least one of the reasons why. Overall, this thing could go one of two ways. Either we get the new content and, we get the new content on the 23rd or at E3, and we get, hey, you guys are going to get a new game, a new version of MK11, both, whatever the announcement may be, or we get nothing but a new game and they leave MK11 as is for a year and a half. I'm hoping to get some news on Friday. If not on Friday, by E3 at least, of both a new title and a patch. I'm hopeful for that. And for anyone who wants to say, oh, Tom, you're being negative, I'm being both ways here because we can go both ways. I'm hoping for the positive, but either way, this is true. They are at a crossroad where they're going to send us one message or the other. Either they're going to send us the message how much they care about us, how much they hear us, how much they want to get back to finishing what they didn't have a chance to do in the first place, or the message is going to be, we're the developer, we don't owe you anything, and you guys are going to eat MK11 as it is until our next title comes out, which we're going to charge you through the nose for, and you're going to pay through the nose for it, and nobody's bottom line is going to get affected here. It could go both ways. Let's hope we get something in the next couple of days. That's what I'm hopeful for. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, love hearing from all of you. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more content.